When we talk about reporters and public officials being in denial, deceit, and delusion about not just the level, but also the intensity and the quality of black violence, black criminality, we're talking about the story you are about to see here. This is Exhibit A. Little old lady, 63-year-old lady, is walking through part of Staten Island where she'd lived with her family for a long time, maybe picking up a few groceries, maybe going to church. Middle of the day. Newspaper reports she was pummeled in a random attack, broke her shoulder, in the hospital, expected to be okay. Now, in the paper's defense, some of that information came from the woman's son. But what really happened was so much more horrific than that the woman's friends and relatives and neighbors, they started hammering this paper with the true story of what happened. So much so that I actually had to kind of get up late at night and capture it all because I thought they were going to take it down. That's how badly they misreported it. The black guy they arrested for this crime his name was Eric Coleman. Eric Coleman kicked my relative as she lay unconscious on the street, causing a left broken shoulder and 2 broken left ribs. He then dragged the unconscious body of my lifeless relative across the concrete, ripping the skin completely off her back and causing deep lacerations across 90% of her backside. She remains in critical condition, barely able to hold the hands of anyone in her family, speak, or move. She suffers significant pain due to the injuries with her head trauma, causing the most debilitating and unbearable pain. Wow. That sounds a little different than what we just heard, didn't it? Then there's a few more stories, a few more friends chiming in saying, yeah, they truly minimized and negated the brutal acts this man committed against my innocent relative. More details about the story from friends and relatives. One relative said they're going to, one relative said she's going to take it to the editor. We're going to get to that in a minute. A little bit more. Let me elaborate on the condition of the sweet, soft-spoken, angelic, and caring woman. She suffered significant and threatening repeated head blows, resulting in a large subaconoid hemorrhage, which will likely cause permanent brain damage. Massive eye hematoma, incapable of opening or using the eye for any sort of function. And somebody piped in and said, hey, this is a bias attack. A black man attacks a defenseless white woman for no reason. It is a bias attack, blah, blah, blah. Article, and a lot of people were also very unhappy. They left out the pattern of the attack. They left out the race of the attacker, the race of the victim, thus totally leaving out any kind of discussion about pattern. We'll get to that in a minute. But the article was misreported so poorly, so badly, that they actually ran another story on it. New details emerge in random assault on New Dorp Lane in Staten Island. Translation: we got caught minimizing, denying, ignoring, condoning, excusing, encouraging, and even lying about this level of black criminality. We got caught on such a level and at such a small town. We had to run this other story using the new information we got from the relatives, which we were not at all eager to get. And so they went through reporting some of the things that the neighbors and friends we just heard from them. Of course, the guy who they charged, Eric Coleman, he's under medical supervision for psychological reasons.
First, an Eyewitness News exclusive. A 63-year-old woman ambushed from behind, thrown to the ground, and dragged on Staten Island. Tonight, her son speaking only to Eyewitness News reporter Lucy Yang about that attack.
She's live in the New Dorp section. Lucy? Well, Bill and Sade, a 63-year-old once independent Staten Island woman, is recovering at home tonight. She will need daily nursing care after a violent, random attack on this busy commercial street.
It was a pretty savage attack. You know, she had bleeding on her brain, broken ribs. She's got a broken shoulder, deep lacerations and cuts all over her back. Her face was beaten so badly that one of her eyes was completely shut.
All these painful physical and emotional scars from one chance encounter on the sidewalk.
And thankfully, she doesn't remember a lot of the attack. She just felt someone coming up from behind her.
The victim's son talks to us exclusively about the horrific attack on his sweet and gentle 63-year-old mother. Eyewitness News has also obtained exclusive surveillance video of the assault here on New Dorp Lane by Clawson Street. Early Monday morning, Doreen Baloney was innocently running errands when she was savagely thrown to the ground, kicked, then dragged down the street. The petite victim spent 5 days in the hospital and was finally released on Friday to face a long road towards recovery. Eric Coleman was arrested shortly after the assault. Police believe the beating was random and unprovoked. We're told Coleman has a long history of mental illness and more than 24 arrests. All this prompting critics of the governor and mayor to argue that shutting down hospital beds and prisons is not the answer.
Individuals are going in and out of our criminal justice system like it's a revolving door, and they're being put back onto the street.
But no matter how bad this injury was, no matter how much it fits a pattern of black crime and violence wildly out of proportion, there are still some people on Staten Island going, no, what race doesn't make a darn bit of difference. Oh, why is that relevant? Well, it's relevant because of the pattern. It's relevant because of the pattern of black on white crime and hostility, especially expressed towards older people who cannot protect themselves. As somebody pointed out, you notice that guys like Eric Coleman, they might be crazy enough to attack a 63-year-old woman, but you don't see them standing outside of a boxing gym where white guys are coming out, big buff white guys are coming out with, boxing gym bags and attacking them. Why is that? So this is, is this the worst example of black and white crime? No, it's pretty bad, really bad. Does it fit a pattern? Oh yeah, it fits lots and lots and lots of patterns. It fits patterns of the crime, the violence against old people, the race of the perp, the race of the victim, the intensity of the crime, the sociopathic qualities expressed in the crime. I mean, whatever pattern you want to fit it in, that's what it fits. Also fits in the denial. All the people from Long Island, Staten Island going, oh, no, race has nothing to do with this, Colin. Don't know how you could ever make that up. Well, we're not making it up. We're just reporting it. We're telling you what's happening. We're not saying this by itself should make the world stop. What we're saying is the pattern. What we're saying is this thing, as the latest example of this, should be a good reminder to people of what's really happening out there, even as we turn on TV, radio, and newspaper and hear that black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere. That explains everything. The real truth is the opposite. Just like we saw here in Staten Island, just like we talk about every day right here, even if that does make the black kids angry.